The quantum computer's display cast an ethereal blue glow across Dr. Isabella Rhodes's face as she stared at the results of her latest DNA analysis. Something wasn't right. After 15 years of studying human genetic code at the Quantum Genetics Institute, she had never seen anything like this pattern. The sequence she discovered wasn't random noise, it was too structured, too precise. Hidden within the supposedly junk DNA of every human sample she tested lay an encrypted message, written in a language that defied conventional understanding. Isabella pushed away from her desk, her chair rolling across the polished laboratory floor. The institute's midnight silence was broken only by the gentle hum of quantum processors and cooling systems. She pulled up another set of results, then another. The pattern was consistent across every sample. "This can't be natural," she whispered to herself, her fingers flying across the holographic keyboard. The structure was unlike anything found in nature, it resembled more of a digital signature than genetic code. As she dug deeper into the analysis, her heart began to race. The message wasn't just complex, it was alive, responding to her attempts to decode it. Dr. James Morrison, her longtime colleague and the Institute's head of security, found her still working when he arrived the next morning. "Isabella, have you been here all night?" he asked, noting her disheveled appearance and the empty coffee cups littering her workstation. She barely looked up from her screens. "James, I need you to see this." Her voice carried an urgency he had never heard before. "Look at this pattern, it's in every human sample we've tested. Every single one." James leaned over her shoulder, his expression shifting from concern to confusion as he studied the data. "That's impossible. This looks like someone wrote a message in our DNA." Isabella finished his thought. "Yes. And here's the really interesting part, it's been there for at least as long as we've been human. Maybe longer." The implications were staggering. If this pattern was indeed artificial, it meant someone, or something, had encoded information into human DNA long before humanity had even evolved into its current form. But why? And more importantly, what did the message say? Isabella's breakthrough came 3 days later. She had been running quantum simulations non-stop, trying every possible decryption method she could think of. The answer, when it finally came, was elegantly simple: the message wasn't encoded in the DNA itself, but in the quantum state of its molecules. "It's like they knew we'd eventually develop quantum computers," she explained to James during an emergency briefing. "The message only becomes readable when observed at the quantum level." The Institute's director, Dr. Rajesh Patel, sat at the head of the conference table, his usually calm demeanor shaken. "And you're certain this isn't a mistake? Some kind of artifact in our systems?" Isabella shook her head. "We verified it across multiple platforms. This is real." She projected a holographic representation of the decoded message above the table. "It's not just data, it's instructions. Specifically, instructions for building something." The hologram showed complex schematics for what appeared to be a communication device, unlike anything humans had ever constructed. The technology involved principles that pushed the boundaries of known physics. "Whatever wrote this message," Isabella continued, "they wanted us to find it only when we were technologically advanced enough to understand it. And I think they wanted us to contact them." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just looking at proof of alien intelligence, they were looking at an invitation. Dr. Patel cleared his throat. "How long would it take to build this device?" Isabella had already done the calculations. "With our current technology and resources? Maybe 6 months. But there's something else." She pulled up another set of data. "The quantum signature of this message? It's getting stronger. Whatever signal this device is meant to receive, it's already on its way." James leaned forward, his security training kicking in. "Are we sure we want to answer this call? For all we know, this could be a trap." Isabella understood his concern, but she couldn't contain her excitement. James, this message has been waiting in our DNA for millions of years. If they wanted to harm us, they've had plenty of opportunities. I think this is something else entirely. Dr. Patel stood up, his decision made. Dr. Rhodes, you have full access to Institute resources. Build your device. But, he added, fixing her with a stern look, this stays completely classified. The world isn't ready for this knowledge. Not yet. As Isabella left the conference room, her mind was already racing with plans. She had no way of knowing that she wasn't just building a communication device, she was building humanity's first bridge to the stars, and what waited on the other side would challenge everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. The device hummed to life in the underground chamber of the Quantum Genetics Institute, its crystalline structure pulsing with an inner light that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Isabella stood before her creation, 6 months of work culminating in this moment. The quantum resonance chamber, built according to the instructions hidden in human DNA, stood ready to pierce the veil between worlds. Power levels are stable, announced Dr. Kira Yamamoto, the Institute's lead quantum engineer. Her fingers danced across the control panel, making minute adjustments. Quantum coherence at 98%. Isabella nodded, her heart pounding. Around them, dozens of sensors recorded every possible measurement, while James Morrison supervised a team of security personnel stationed at strategic points throughout the facility. No one knew what would happen when they activated the device, but they weren't taking any chances. Beginning final sequence, Kira announced. The chamber's hum deepened, resonating at a frequency that made Isabella's teeth ache. The crystalline structure began to rotate, each layer moving in a different direction, creating impossible geometries that seemed to fold in on themselves. Dr. Patel watched from behind reinforced glass, his expression tense. Dr. Rhodes, are you certain about this? Isabella's response was cut short by a sudden surge of energy. The chamber's light intensified, and for a moment, reality itself seemed to bend. The air shimmered like heat waves rising from hot pavement, but instead of dissipating, the distortion began to take shape. They appeared without warning or dramatic effect. One moment the chamber was empty, the next it contained 3 beings that defied human understanding. They were tall, their bodies composed of what looked like liquid crystal, constantly shifting and flowing yet maintaining humanoid form. Where their faces should have been, patterns of light danced in complex arrangements. The security team raised their weapons, but James held up his hand, stopping them. The beings showed no signs of aggression. Instead, they seemed to be studying their surroundings with what could only be described as curiosity. The tallest of the 3 stepped forward, its crystalline form rippling. When it spoke, the words formed directly in their minds, accompanied by images and emotions that made language seem crude by comparison. We are the Viridians, the being communicated. We have waited long for this moment. Isabella stepped forward, her scientific training warring with her awe. I'm Dr. Isabella Rhodes. We found your message. The Viridian's form pulsed with what felt like approval. You have proven yourselves worthy of the knowledge we left behind. But time grows short. Short. Dr. Patel moved closer to the chamber. What do you mean? The 3 beings turned as one, their forms synchronizing in a display that sent cascades of light through the chamber. Your species stands at a crossroads. The signal you have detected, it is not just our message. It is a warning. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. James stepped forward, his security training evident in his stance. What kind of warning? The Viridian's forms darkened slightly, their patterns becoming more angular. There are others in this galaxy who seek developing civilizations. Not to help, but to harvest. They detected your technological advancement long ago. They come. Isabella felt her blood run cold. Hostile aliens? Why didn't you warn us sooner? The warning was always there, in your very essence, the Viridian explained. But you needed to reach this level of understanding on your own. To prove you could handle what comes next. And what exactly comes next? James demanded. The Viridians moved in perfect synchronization, their forms merging briefly before separating again. In the space between them, a holographic display appeared, showing what looked like a star map. They approach from here, the lead Viridian indicated. The Harvesters. They seek civilizations at precisely your level of development, advanced enough to be useful, not advanced enough to resist. How long do we have? Dr. Patel's voice was steady, but his hands gripped the railing tightly. By your measurements, less than 1 Earth year. The Viridian's forms pulsed with urgency. But we did not merely leave you a warning. We left you tools, knowledge encoded not just in your DNA, but in the quantum fabric of your world itself. Knowledge that could help you survive. Isabella's mind raced with the implications. The device we built, it's not just for communication, is it? No, the Viridian confirmed. It is the key to understanding the quantum nature of reality itself. The Harvester's power comes from their mastery of conventional physics. But there are deeper laws, laws they never discovered, laws we encoded into the evolution of your species. Why us? Isabella asked. Why help humanity? The Viridian's forms brightened. Because you are unique. In all our observations of developing species, none have shown your particular combination of traits, your creativity, your resilience, your ability to make intuitive leaps that defy logic. The message we left was a test. You not only decoded it, but you understood its implications in ways we never anticipated. So what do we do now? James asked, ever practical. We will teach you, the Viridians responded in unison. But you must move quickly. The knowledge we share must reach beyond this facility, beyond your governments and institutions. Humanity must unite and evolve, or it will fall. As if to emphasize their point, the quantum chamber pulsed with new energy, and images began to flow into their minds, schematics, formulae, concepts that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Isabella gasped as knowledge flooded her consciousness, each piece fitting perfectly into place like a cosmic puzzle she had been preparing her whole life to solve. This is just the beginning, the Viridians communicated. The real work starts now. The United Nations Security Council chamber had never been so quiet. On the central display, a holographic projection showed the approaching Harvester fleet, their massive ships cutting through the darkness of space with inexorable purpose. Isabella stood at the podium, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. The Viridian's knowledge has confirmed our worst fears, she explained. The Harvesters aren't just coming to conquer, they're coming to strip our world of everything that makes us human. Our creativity, our consciousness, our very essence. Admiral Marcus Torres, newly appointed head of Earth's Unified Defense Initiative, stepped forward. The quantum technology we've developed gives us an advantage they won't expect, but our window is closing. We have 7 months before they reach our solar system. The chamber erupted in multilingual discussion until the Secretary-General raised her hand for silence. Dr. Rhodes, you said the Viridians left us more than just warnings. Show us. Isabella nodded to Kira, who activated a series of holographic displays. They showed new technologies that merged quantum mechanics with human intuition, weapons that could bend reality, shields that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and communication systems that operated outside normal spacetime. The Viridians didn't just give us technology, Isabella continued. They helped us understand why we were chosen. Humanity has something unique, an ability to think in ways that transcend conventional logic. We don't just use quantum mechanics, we intuitively understand it in ways even the Viridians find remarkable. The Chinese representative leaned forward. And you believe this will be enough against an enemy that has conquered countless worlds? It has to be, Admiral Torres replied. The Harvesters have never encountered a species that could manipulate quantum reality. Their technology, while advanced, is purely conventional. They don't understand the principles we're working with because they never evolved to perceive them. The Russian delegate's voice cut through the tension. These quantum weapons, how quickly can we produce them? Isabella brought up new schematics. With global cooperation, we can convert existing manufacturing facilities within months. But we need everyone. Scientists, engineers, military personnel, even artists and philosophers. The quantum technology responds to human consciousness itself. The more diverse our approach, the stronger our defenses will be. The Secretary-General's decision was swift. We'll put it to an emergency vote, but I think we all know the outcome. Humanity stands together, or we fall together. As the resolution passed unanimously, Isabella felt a moment of pride in her species. In the face of extinction, ancient rivalries were being set aside. A new age of human cooperation was beginning, forced by the most terrible of circumstances. Back at the Quantum Genetics Institute, the Viridians continued their work with selected human scientists. Their crystalline forms flickered with approval as humans mastered concepts that should have taken centuries to understand. Your species continues to surprise us, they communicated to Isabella. You don't just learn, you improve upon our designs. Even now, your collective consciousness is reaching levels we didn't think possible. Isabella watched as another test of the quantum shield succeeded, the energy field shifting through multiple dimensions simultaneously. Will it be enough? The Viridian's forms pulsed with what she had learned to recognize as determination. The harvesters are powerful, but they are predictable. They have conquered so many worlds that they no longer expect resistance. Your unpredictability is your greatest weapon. A sudden alert drew their attention. Admiral Torres rushed into the laboratory, his face grim. The deep space arrays just picked up something. The harvester fleet, they're accelerating. New estimated arrival, 3 months. The Viridian's forms darkened. They sensed the quantum energy we're generating. They know something is different about Earth. Isabella felt her heart race, but she refused to give in to fear. Then we adapt. We move faster. We've done the impossible before, we'll do it again. Around the world, humanity's preparation accelerated. Quantum manufacturing facilities worked around the clock, producing technologies that defied conventional physics. Military forces trained with weapons that could alter reality itself, learning to trust their intuition as much as their training. The Viridians had been right about human creativity. Once they understood the basic principles, humans began innovating in ways that astonished even their alien mentors. They didn't just copy the Viridian designs, they improved them, combined them in new ways, found applications that no one had considered. But time was running out. As the harvester fleet approached, humanity faced its greatest test. They had the technology, they had the knowledge, but would it be enough? The answer would come sooner than anyone had hoped, and it would change the course of human history forever. Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede, had become humanity's front line. Quantum defense platforms orbited the gas giant, their crystalline structures glinting in the distant sunlight. Admiral Torres stood on the command deck of the QSS Prometheus, Earth's first quantum-powered battleship, watching as the final preparations were made. "Status report," he commanded, his voice carrying across the bridge. "Quantum shields at full capacity," Lieutenant Rami Karim reported. "All defense platforms synchronized. The Viridian enhancements to our sensor array are online, we'll see them coming light years away." Isabella worked at her station, monitoring the quantum field generators. The harvesters would arrive within days, and humanity's survival hung on the success of their preparations. The combined forces of Earth had transformed Jupiter's orbit into a fortress, using the gas giant's immense gravitational field to amplify their quantum weapons. New contact. Rami's voice cut through the tension. Multiple signatures entering the Kuiper belt. The main display lit up with hundreds of points of light, the harvester fleet. Their ships were massive, angular constructions of dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. At their center, a vessel twice the size of Earth's moon led the formation. They're earlier than expected, Isabella noted, her fingers flying across the quantum interface. But they're following the exact attack pattern the Viridians predicted. They don't know we can see them yet. Admiral Torres nodded grimly. Let's keep it that way. All stations maintain quantum camouflage. Let them think they're surprising us. The Viridians, their crystalline forms now integrated into the ship's quantum core, communicated directly with the crew. The harvesters are scanning conventionally. They detect your orbital installations but not their true nature. They believe these are primitive defensive platforms. Hours passed as the harvester fleet approached, their formation spreading out to surround Jupiter. Isabella watched their movement patterns, noting how mechanical and predictable they were, just as the Viridians had said. The harvesters had conquered so many worlds the same way that they had lost the ability to adapt. They're launching their first wave, Rami announced. Smaller vessels, probably meant to test our defenses. Admiral Torres straightened in his command chair. Let them get close. Wait for my signal. The harvester scouts accelerated toward Ganymede, their weapons charging. They expected to find primitive orbital defenses. Instead, they found something unprecedented. Now. Torres commanded. Isabella activated the quantum field generators. Reality itself seemed to ripple as the quantum shields manifested, not just blocking the harvester's weapons but redirecting their energy through multiple dimensions simultaneously. The scout ship's beams curved impossibly, striking their own vessels. Second wave incoming. Rami called out. They're adapting their attack pattern. But that was exactly what humanity had hoped for. As the harvesters adjusted their conventional tactics, the quantum defense platforms shifted through dimensional states faster than their enemies could track. Every attempt to predict their location failed because they existed in multiple places simultaneously. Launch the Q drones, Torres ordered. Swarms of quantum-enhanced drones deployed from the Prometheus, their movements guided by human consciousness linked through the quantum network. Unlike traditional AI, these weapons operated on human intuition, making them impossible for the harvester's logical systems to predict. The harvester fleet's response was immediate and devastating. Their massive ships opened fire with planet-killing weapons, but they were fighting an enemy that could step between moments of time. The quantum shields didn't just block their attacks, they turned them into fuel for humanity's counteroffensive. Their main vessel is moving into position, Isabella reported. Energy readings are off the scale. They're preparing to use their primary weapon. The Viridians' warning pulsed through the quantum network. This is the moment of greatest danger. The harvesters will not accept defeat. They will attempt to tear apart the fabric of space itself. Admiral Torres's voice remained steady. Then we'll show them why they should have never underestimated human creativity. Dr. Rhodes, initiate Operation Quantum Lock. Isabella's hands moved across the quantum interface, activating the protocol they had prepared for this moment. Every quantum platform, every enhanced weapon, every shield, all synchronized into a single consciousness, powered by the combined intuition of humanity. The battle for Earth's survival had begun, and the universe was about to learn why the Viridians had chosen humanity as their champions. The Harvester mothership's weapon discharge lit up the space around Jupiter like a new sun. Time seemed to slow as the quantum network processed the attack through multiple dimensions simultaneously. Isabella watched as reality itself began to warp under the strain. They're trying to create a dimensional tear, she announced, her hands dancing across the quantum interface. If that rupture reaches Earth. It won't, Admiral Torres declared. Activate the quantum resonance field. Full power. The combined consciousness of humanity flowed through the quantum network, each mind contributing its unique perspective to the whole. The Viridians had been right, human intuition, multiplied across millions of connected minds, created patterns that defied conventional physics. The harvester beam struck the quantum shield, but instead of finding a single point of resistance, it encountered an infinite series of probability states. The energy dispersed across dimensions, feeding back into humanity's defensive grid. Their weapon, Rami reported, amazement in his voice. It's powering us. The Viridian's crystalline forms pulsed with approval. You understand now. The Harvester's greatest strength is their greatest weakness. They cannot comprehend what cannot be predicted. Isabella felt it through the quantum link, millions of human minds working in perfect harmony, yet each maintaining its unique perspective. Artists saw patterns that scientists missed. Children imagined possibilities that adults had forgotten. Every human consciousness added its own thread to the tapestry of their defense. The Harvester mothership launched its final assault. Their weapon, designed to tear apart the fabric of spacetime, reached full power. But humanity was ready. Now, Torres commanded. Show them what we've learned. Isabella activated the quantum resonance cascade. Every defense platform, every ship, every linked human mind focused on a single purpose. The quantum field didn't just deflect the Harvester's attack, it absorbed it, channeled it, transformed it. A new kind of energy burst forth from the human fleet, one that existed simultaneously in all possible states. The Harvester's logical systems couldn't process what they were seeing. Their weapons, designed to break down reality, instead became catalysts for its transformation. The mothership's beam twisted back upon itself, caught in an infinite loop of quantum possibilities. The Harvesters, for the first time in their long history of conquest, encountered something they couldn't categorize or control. Look, Isabella whispered, pointing to the main display. The space around the Harvester fleet was changing. Reality itself seemed to flow like water, responding to the collective will of humanity. The Harvester's ships, trapped in the quantum field, began to phase between dimensions. They're retreating, Rami announced. The entire fleet, they're running. But retreat wasn't enough. The quantum field, powered by the combined consciousness of humanity and amplified by the Harvester's own weapons, had fundamentally altered the space around Jupiter. As the enemy fleet fled, they found themselves trapped in a pocket of transformed reality, one that humanity now controlled. The Viridians communicated one final message: you have exceeded our greatest hopes. The Harvesters will never threaten another world. You have not just defended your planet, you have changed the very nature of spacetime in this sector. Your victory will echo across galaxies. Admiral Torres turned to Isabella. What exactly did we do? She smiled, understanding flowing through the quantum network. We didn't just fight them, we evolved. The quantum technology didn't just give us weapons, it showed us what we could become. The Harvesters couldn't adapt because they couldn't imagine anything beyond their own understanding. But humanity, we thrive on imagining the impossible. As the quantum field stabilized, Earth received its first clear images of the battle. Humanity had done more than win a war, they had proven themselves ready for a new stage of existence. The Viridian's gift wasn't just technology, it was the key to humanity's next evolutionary step. The quantum network hummed with possibilities as humanity looked toward the stars, not with fear, but with newfound purpose. They had faced extinction and emerged transformed, ready to take their place among the cosmos not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians of a new kind of reality, one where imagination and understanding walked hand in hand into an infinite future.